Welcome back to watching Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We're discussing the circular economy, where this is an economy that has four concepts. It's reuse, recycle, waste reduction, and product redesign. And sounds like a whole lot of words put together, the but I mean, we can make it our everyday life. Let's find out how Lagos is doing this now with the Special Advisor, Climate Change and Circular Economy in Lagos, Titilayo Oshodi, joins us in the studio. Hi, Titilayo, good morning. Good to have you in the studio.
Morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I mean, when you talk about the circular economy, obviously, is sustainability. That's the language of the world now. Yes. But sometimes it might sound so far away from an average Nigerian.
Yes.
So we want to bring it back home to our everyday life. Tell us about circular economy in practical terms for everyday living.
So for everyday living, let's bring it back to some of the things that we do normally in the house. We would generate waste when we eat, and the leftovers, we pack them and throw them in the dustbin. We would turn up our taps in the toilet. If we do not have the right mechanism, you can leave that tap running, except you have to close it off. You can leave your light, on, in and out. There are ways that we can now start to manage the usage of those things, because the wastage of it is costing a lot more in terms of cost and in terms of the sustainability of emissions, So circular economy is a way of life of reusing, repurposing, remanufacturing, or redirecting the usage of things. Like you have said, it's a lot of but it's actually being able to look at what we use or what we enjoy with the end in view. For instance, our clothing, our plastics, our tires, our e-waste, the machines, the equipment that we use. Circular economy brings to bear how you can repurpose or reuse or recycle or remodel these items so that they're not ending up in the landfills and ultimately degenerating in thousands of years that actually accrue to the emissions, the carbon emissions that seems to be affecting our climate as of today. So that's
I think an interesting part, especially at this time in Nigeria, is you talked about how that can help reduce cost of living, for instance, the lights, but getting it into the mind, I think, is another thing, because we know, obviously, like countries like the UK, where that your light bill is going to directly reflect your usage. You don't need anybody to remind you. When you pay for the first week or the first month, you remind yourself. But how do we get to that point here in Nigeria?
So for us in Nigeria, we're a very peculiar society, because a lot of things have been provided en masse for us in so many ways, or whatever it is that we have that sense that we have everything provided for us. Like you have said, because there are institutional mechanisms and infrastructure are based on a monetized basis, people are very clear, they're very dimensional, and they're very intentional about the usage. In Nigeria, we need to get on that journey, on that track of changing behavior. And one of the things that we have been able to identify is that we need to start to incentivize people to get to understand that there are benefits that are available or that are inherent in the waste that they generate. So in letting people know that your plastics can actually be exchanged, you can have them through a grand metric system and you can get money in return for it, or you can have it exchanged for any social amenity that is provided in Lagos. Some of the integration models or integration systems that are available within this administration is the platforms with LASRA that provides access to subsidy in transportation, through the Cowrie card, subsidy through Lagos, the health insurance scheme, subsidy through even the Ministry of Education for tuition. So our mothers who are sitting at home, who are taking care of their children, who are the homemakers, and they generate waste through food, through plastic, through clothing, can actually begin to manage the usage of these items.
Perhaps you should tell us how people can key into that.
Well, so there are already business membership organizations who are already working in that space. So they're already creating the ecosystems. And one of our jobs is right now to start to deliberately and strategically position these business membership organizations in communities, but first and foremost, we need to start to sensitize people to say, listen, start harvesting your waste. Do not throw them away. Do not dispose of them irresponsibly. You can have them in exchange for value, whatever it is that you want. And we've started with that communication, that community trail to communicate these values to them.
So, as a parent, maybe a woman in the house, the children, you talked about the issue of school fees,
yes.
The crown card?
Yeah, Cowrie card.
Cowrie, thank you. The Cowrie card.
With the Ministry of Transport.
Showing my ignorance on there, yes. The Cowrie card.
Yes.
Do I have to put my plastics in bins or special bins to access that? How exactly can I do that?
So if you know that Loma already had started with this sensitization and integration system, driving households, even through schools, secondary schools and primary schools, to say that there are bins that are labeled in color codes, and these bins have different purposes. They have different components that you should harvest them in. So there's a place for paper, there's a place for plastic, there's a place for organic waste. Right. So at home, at the household level, at source, people are encouraged to start to sort their items, their waste, especially those that they know that they can hand over either to the PSP. Those are the people who come with the trucks, those that are come, even the organic ones right now. We're beginning to find a way to create some waste valorization model so that people can exchange their organic waste. So we're going into schools, we're going into communities, because we also understand that children are very, very great influencers. If they get to hear from their teacher that they can earn money, they can earn, some form of reward for the plastics that they bring, they can go back home and spread the word to their parents as well.
So do you have a length of time people have to do it for? Or when the PSP comes to my house and I give them a bin, do I have to register, models like that?
So I don't think that the PSP have that model, but I think that because we're beginning to populate not just the PSP angle of it, but we're beginning to develop businesses. We have what we call an EBN, a business network, where we're beginning to harness the scalability, the operations of business organizations that already have started to pool, different households and different communities to let them know that they can come and collect their plastics for them. So if you have, for instance, 1 kilogram of plastics is in exchange for 600 naira right now. So if we go to the communities, especially the vulnerable or the rural communities, and drive that kind of communication and sensitivity to say, just put them aside, you will have people who will come and, they will connect with you. These are the sort of network that we're trying to establish within our rural communities.
Yeah, it sounds like something that will sell in Lagos. I mean, direct incentive for, managing your waste properly. And I'm sure we'll get updates on that in due course.
Yes, we were working on that.
Thank you so much. Special Advisor, Climate Change and Circular Economy in Lagos State. This is Layo Oshodi. Thank you for your time. I wish you the best.
Thank you very much.